The other day I said I was going to be able to talk about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and today is that day. You're looking at footage that I recorded just a couple hours ago. I am showing you a different save file because I have an embargo sheet that's fairly long, and it has a lot of things in it that I can't discuss and a lot of things that I can't show. And with my main save game, I wouldn't be able to show you that stuff. So I figured rather than trying to get rid of the items and move to a safer location, I would just start up a new game, get past the intro part. You know, waking up where you've seen that a million times. And I thought I'd just wander around and do some gameplay and just wander around the plateau while I talk about my experience with the game. So that's the footage you're seeing now. Some of it, you know, you may not have seen before, other areas you may have, but I tried to keep it entertaining and interesting. But while you're watching that, I'm going to be talking about my time with the game, and again, I'm going to be talking about the things I am allowed to talk about, and there are other things I cannot, so I'll do my best to give you my impressions based on what I can say. Before this game came out, there's been a lot of discussion about watershed moments in the Legend of Zelda franchise. And obviously, A Link to the Past was a watershed moment for the franchise, and then Ocarina of Time as well. But since Ocarina of Time, we haven't really seen. We've had plenty of wonderful / amazing Zelda games, but we haven't seen like the next evolution of what Zelda games are or what they could be. And now that I've spent a very good amount of time with Breath of the Wild, I can tell you that this is, without a doubt, the next watershed moment for the franchise. This does so many things that are different for the series, and that includes things that are completely new, things that have been changed from previous installments, and it's all mashed up into an experience that definitely feels like a Zelda game, but is still so wildly different. This is the next evolution of Zelda. One of the biggest things I can say about the game is that it feels like a challenge. It feels unlike any other Zelda game in the sense that you are constantly worried that you're going to run into, you know, an area where you could be picked off in an instant. And I literally mean in an instant. I've gone to areas just out and about wandering where I've happened upon enemies that hit me with one arrow and picked me off, and I was dead. I had like 6 hearts, 1 hit, gone. That was it. And that happens a lot. There's enemies all over the place that, you know, you recognize from previous Zelda games. They may have a different style or move a bit differently, but you're like, oh, I know these guys. And you go into it with your old Zelda mentality, and you get your ass handed to you. When I played Skyward Sword, I ran from the game start to finish without dying once. And that's happened a few times. And previously, I would say the hardest Zelda game I played was Majora's Mask. By far, Breath of the Wild is the most challenging Zelda game. And we're just talking about regular basic enemies. It is a challenge. They are tough. They can take you out instantly. They gang up on you. And I really appreciate that. I really like it because it really changes how you approach the game world. And everything you know from previous Zelda games is wrong. You can't take these guys out as quickly as you can. You know, there may be a couple low-level enemies you encounter right at the beginning where you take them out fairly easily, but you'll quickly learn that not every enemy is going to be like that, and even those easy enemies can take you out when they gang up on you. So be ready for a challenge. Going hand in hand with that is the ability to pick up weapons that enemies drop, and, you know, other things along the way that you use as weapons. And those weapons are constantly breaking, and you're constantly replenishing what weapons you're getting. You know, you might find great stuff in treasure chests, or you might pick it up off of enemies or stuff like that. And that goes for swords and bows and arrows and other things. And the constant changeover really makes the game feel like fresh and exciting because, you know, you might have a great weapon and you really want to hang on to it and really want to use it sparingly because it does such a great job, and you're like, I'll hold on to it for the bigger guys. Then you have some other weapons that you found along the way that you use for just the regular fodder that comes your way. But there's a constant churn, a constant turnover with the items that you're using to attack enemies with. And it's cool. Like, you start off picking up, like, sticks and stuff, and they break really quickly, and you're like, oh, this kind of sucks. But then you find, like, an axe or a specific sword or some other things that I can't talk about, and you're like, oh man, these are awesome. And me personally, I tuck them away into my inventory, and I'm like, all right, I'm saving these for like when I need to take something really serious down. But you're always finding new stuff, and I like that. I like that turnover. It's a completely new feeling for Zelda because you're used to sticking with one sword and maybe a couple items and stuff like that, but this, you are constantly picking up new stuff and finding new things that you get to try out, and their effectiveness depends on how strong they are and what they do and what enemies you're attacking, so all that stuff really matters, and that's something we haven't really seen before. Obviously, one really important area to talk about is the size of the game. And long before the game came out, Nintendo talked about how big it was, and we've talked about it to no end as well, and scrutinized and analyzed and picked apart everything we could possibly see. And going into the game, I knew that it was huge, and I was expecting a huge map. But for me, personally, I cannot tell you how taken aback I am by how absolutely massive the game is. I feel like I've traversed everywhere, and then I look at the map and I'm like, I have done nothing. I've been nowhere. And I'm constantly stopping like on the top of hills or mountaintops or towers or whatever and just looking around me, and I'm in awe of the fact that I can go everywhere I can see, and there's literally stuff as far as the eye can see. It's insane. You can go so many places and there's so much to see and do. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how big this game is. Now, when I say this, I mean this in a positive way. When I play this game, I get a very Minecraft vibe because of how vast the land is, and you're out there exploring, and you can go anywhere you want to go. Sure, there might be some areas that are really challenging, and you probably shouldn't be there until you get yourself beefed up on stats. But you can still go there if you want and explore. You just got to be careful. But on top of that, the way that the music, which is, few and far between, but the way the music plays into the exploration when you're out and about, you'll get a little tune when you're riding on your horse that plays, and it's, a soft bit of music that goes along with you as you're riding on the horse. Or there might be certain instances where you're running on foot and you get some music to go along with that. But a lot of it is, just the noises of the world that's going on around you. And just, I guess it's the atmosphere that I should say. The atmosphere really gives me a Minecraft vibe. And I'm a big fan of Minecraft. And, obviously there's no building or stuff like that in this game. But just the way the atmosphere presents itself and the world presents itself and the exploration presents itself. It's just such a huge experience, but the way it all wraps into itself is so compelling to me and so interesting and just really enjoyable. When Nintendo is saying that you can go out and do what you want, that's 100% true. You go out and do what you want. You should probably do a little bit in the very beginning, which I won't spoil for you. There's certain things that you go through that will get you an item that will make your exploration a lot easier, but you can handle that within the first hour of the game, if not less than that. But yeah, you go out and you do what you want, and I can't tell you how much fun I'm having just exploring. Like, I for so many hours in the game, I have just been exploring and ignoring whatever the main mission is. And just going out and about and seeing what I can find and being like, oh, that looks cool, I'll go there. Or, oh, I wonder what's around this bend. Or, oh, what's on top of that mountain. And I'm just going, and it seems like I can go forever. It's nuts, and to think that I've seen such a small portion of the game, and I've seen such a small portion of the main story, and there's so much more for me to explore. It blows my mind. It really does. And every time I think about like, oh, I should go back into the main story and do that stuff, I'm like, no, I kind of just want to wander around and see what I can find on my own. And it's a blast. It's so much fun, and it's a feeling unlike any other Zelda game. As you know, there's a lot to do in this game and a lot of places to go, and as I've already discussed, there's a lot of items to get and a lot of weapons to use and stuff like that. So this Zelda game uses a lot of controls. I mean, obviously, I'm playing on the Switch, and I'm using all the face buttons on the right Joy-Con, all the face buttons on the left Joy-Con, both triggers, the joysticks, and pushing in the joysticks, and plus and minus. So you're using everything. And because, there's inventory management unlike any other Zelda game, and then there's a whole bunch of shifting between menus and stuff like that, in the very beginning, you can get bogged down. It's a lot to take in. And obviously, the game doesn't force a bunch of tutorials down your throat. When you pick up something new, an item or whatever, it says, here's how you use it, this is what you do. And it does, it's like images, and it takes all of 10 seconds. So you might get information overload in the beginning when you're trying to learn the controls, but all you got to do is take your time, and then plus on top of that, you're if you're playing on Switch, you're playing on a new system, so you're familiarizing yourself with the controls. So it really makes use of a lot of control. Oh, and motion controls too; those are in there too if you want to use them. So there is a lot to take in, but once you put in the hours with it, it all fades into the back of your mind and becomes very easy. And when you're flicking through menus and picking items, and there's quick menus for selecting items, so you don't have to pause it to go in. You can just use the joystick and a button combination to pick what you want. And once all of it comes together, you're flying through it no problem, and it becomes really easy. Hopefully that's what it looks like in the footage for you guys. I don't remember how I did, but yeah. I'm not saying that there isn't a lot to learn right in the beginning, because there is as far as controls go, but if you've played games for a while now, you should be more than fine. So that's really all I can say right now with the embargo rules, and obviously I'll be able to talk about it a lot more in a lot more detail when the review embargo is up. This is just preview/impressions, so I'll be bringing you that later. But hopefully I gave you an idea what the game is like and my experience with it, and just how different it is. It is very, very, very different. You still have, pieces and parts that make it undeniably Zelda. But this is a huge change for the franchise, and it's going to be very interesting to see how people react to it. I'm having a blast so far. To tell you the truth, I wish I was playing now instead of recording this, but I promised you guys I would do this, so here I am. So I'm going to let the rest of the footage play out. You can enjoy that, and like I said, I'll be bringing you the review later on. Hey guys, RMC here from Go Nintendo. If you like what you saw in the video, why don't you give us a thumbs up and maybe even subscribe? We'd love to have you. If you want to see what else we're up to, you can check out GoNintendo.com for 24-hour Nintendo news. You can visit us on Facebook at Facebook.com/GoNintendo. You can check us out on Twitter at Twitter.com/GoNintendoTweet. And we're even over on Instagram at Instagram.com/GoNintendo. I put all the links in the description just to make it easier for you guys to follow. Thanks a lot.